give this letter to?
I know, Council. Martin Luther King Jr. said that wars are poor chisels for carving out peaceful tomorrows. And we're using that phrase as a guide to announce the formation of a permanent nonprofit organization called September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows. Even though we are all obviously different ages and we come from different places, we all share a common bond in launching this organization. We are all seeking effective alternatives to war as a response to the September 11th terrorist attacks.
Peaceful Tomorrows will be helping to try to get our government to set up a fund for our Afghan sister families.
It's the right thing to do. It's the moral thing to do.
And our hope, our great hope, is to use our memories of our loved ones to heal and to search for peace in this fragmented world.
And I tell people, I have no more moral authority than anyone else. It's just everyone has the same amount. It's just they haven't woken up to it yet.
It's wonderful.
You know, anyone can get out and say, this is what I feel. This is what I believe.
Peaceful tomorrows begin with what we do today.
We've now grown to about 60, and we find that every time we speak, often when we speak, people either come out of the audience and tell us that they too lost someone and they'd like to join us, or someone in the audience knows of someone who thinks, who might be interested in joining. So we've been growing largely by word of mouth and largely by people finding out about us through our website, which is www.peacefultomorrows.org. The website, I really invite all of you to visit it. It changes fairly often. The most recent thing we did was publish something called the Afghan Portraits of Grief, which is our kind of counterpart to the Portraits of Grief that were published in the New York Times. But rather than emphasizing the lives of those who were killed in Afghanistan, we talk about the lives of the survivors and the help they very much need. We hope that this is going to help further our efforts to get Congress to pass a victims' compensation bill for the civilians who were killed in Afghanistan. And I'm happy to share more about Peaceful Tomorrow's work when we have a conversation. I just wanted to use the last few minutes to return to the other profound question that my journey to the World Trade Center site brought to me, which was that horror I experienced about the intentionality of the act that killed my sister. And this is where my journey toward healing becomes very vague. But I would like to just mention some of the experiences. One of the hardest questions I've been asked as I go around speaking about Laura's death is whether I am some kind of apologist for Osama bin Laden, or worse still, are people who say, sometimes in so many words, so I guess you didn't really love your sister if you don't want these people killed. And I don't really honor the second question, except to tell people that it's very hurtful. But the first question is troubling. And I always need to be very clear that I do think terrorists are evil and hateful men. And I guess now, after what we've seen in Moscow, in that Moscow theater, We probably need to say men and women. And at the same time that I want to work for peace, I also want to work realistically for an end to terrorism. The easiest thing, and I think the fastest thing we can do, is to be honest about where the money for terrorism is coming from and insist and find ways to stop its flow. I don't pretend that that's easy, but it is going to require our nation looking hard at some of our allies like Saudi Arabia and just insisting that the right thing be done. But more than that, I think I've been really moved to not only understand how terrorists are funded and how they work, but to really try to understand why people become terrorists. And so I'm beginning to try to imagine how and where and with whom I might be able to sit down and talk about the root causes of terrorism. Who are the people who might be able to make a difference? Who, if they heard my story, might understand differently the paths that some young men and young women are setting out on? I have been very inspired by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, although I know it is only partially a model for what we need to do. But I am convinced that there are gulfs that still remain to be bridged. And I'm hopeful that when we talk, that some of you may have some ideas about how I might begin to do that. I guess finally, I just want to read something that has reconfirmed me on this path to think about what a process of reconciliation might look like. After the nightclub in Bali was bombed, Peaceful Tomorrows received a letter from the Balinese Parum Samhita, which are the village councils of Bali. They too are seeking an answer to this same question that troubles me. This is what they wrote us. We Balinese have an essential concept of balance. It's the Tri-Hita Karana, a concept of harmonious balance, the balance between God and humanity, humanity with itself and humanity with the environment. This places us all in a universe of common understanding. It is not only nuclear bombs which have fallout, and it is now our job to minimize this fallout for our people and our guests from around the world. Who did this? It is not such an important question for us to discuss. Why this happened, maybe this is more worthy of thought. This is a period of uncertainty, a period of change. It is also an opportunity for us to move together into a better future, a future where we embrace all of humanity in the knowledge that we all look and smell the same when we are burnt. Victims of this tragedy are from all over the world. It is the future which is now important. This is the time to bring our values, our empathy to society and the world at large, to care, to love. The modern world brings to many of us the ability to rise above the core need for survival. Most people in the developed world no longer need to struggle to simply stay alive. It is our duty to strive to improve our quality of life. We want to return to our lives. Please help us realize this wish. Why seek retribution from people who are acting as they see fit? These people are misguided from our point of view. Obviously, from theirs, they feel justified and angry enough to make such a brutal statement. We would like to send a message to the world. Embrace this misunderstanding between our brothers and let's seek a peaceful answer to the problems which bring us to such tragedy. And I would like to end there.